Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into the Pet Expo YouTube channel. This is Barry, and we got some wonderful animals in today. The first ones that we're looking at are pewter banded skinks. Now these guys are pretty close to full grown, maybe a couple inches larger. Best to keep them in about a 40-gallon tank minimum, and keep them kind of like a blue tongue, so more humidity, even though that they're known as the giant sandfish skink. You can put the bedding a little bit deeper so they can feel comfortable and burrow on down. And these guys have a nice omnivorous diet. So fruits mostly, and then crickets, superworms, cockroaches of course, and crickets. Also, you want to keep these guys about 85 to 90 on the hot side, and keep the relatively humidity about 40 to 60% if possible. So moss underneath their hide is usually the best way to provide that animal with that humidity for ease of shedding on these animals, because any shed that's constricted onto their toes could mean a loss of a toe. The next one that we got in, we're going to skip over to this guy here. He just came in. This is a baby savannah monitor. Now this is going to get quite large, about 4 to 6 foot long. Carnivorous animal, so crickets and mealworms at this size. I'll show you via hand here how big our savannah actually is. Very, very small little guy, as you can see. Only a couple inches. But these guys can be litter box trained, and also great pet once they acclimate to you. Now also with that large size, you probably want to start them out in about a 20 to 40 gallon tank, and then probably moving up in the first year into that 75 gallon tank after that. Now we do want to keep these guys at about 95 degrees for temperature on the hot side, and then low side somewhere between the 80 to 85 degrees. Next off, we got some ball pythons in, some cool morphs here. Our first one that we're looking at is a black pewter hypo ball python. Now very cool coloration on that guy, and of course as other ball pythons, he will slowly get more color as he ages. Now these we recommend at least a 40-gallon tank, and weekly feedings, keeping their relative temperature about 85 to 95 degrees on hot side and cool side. Nighttime temperature can drop about 10 degrees on each side. Also with our ball pythons, we do recommend a humidity shed, because one of the things, if they don't have a high enough humidity when shedding, they will have restricted or not a full shed. Our next one that we have, we're going to put him in front of the savannah monitor, is our veiled chameleon. Now this guy's also real young. These guys are mostly cricket eaters, but they will also take vegetable, so you can put philodendron in there, or romaine, kale, collard greens for their lettuce type of food or vegetable type of food. Now these guys get quite large, one of the larger chameleon species, topping out between 9 to 6 inches, where the males are actually going to get larger, kind of like crocodilian species. Now these guys aren't great for handling, but once they acclimate to you, can usually let your hand in there, and then they will of course crawl on there if they want, but do not force this animal to come out of its environment, because they do stress very easily. I'm going to sneak him back in there as we're looking back at our pewter bandeds. We have one more ball python that came in, still in the bag because he was a little grumpy, which I usually say is a really good sign for ball pythons when they first come in. Because usually if you have a really low activity on a ball python, it's not the greatest thing. Sorry for the finger there, just getting the animal out here. So we're looking at a sugar queen here. This is a very, very pretty animal. Once again, you want to keep these guys in a nice humidity hide when they are shedding, and this color will intensify. You can see the wonderful markings up and down. And then the very minimal belly markings. If you have any further questions on the animals that came in today or want to check anything out, please give us a call at 507-625-2505. This is Barry from the Pet Expo YouTube channel in Mankato, Minnesota.